Hey guys, just doing a quick little review of the first two episodes of the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man cartoon that just released on Disney Plus. So here are my thoughts. I have kind of mixed feelings. I don't think the animation is as bad as everyone's was like talking about it being. I like that they do a lot of like comic book panel cuts and stuff. So that kind of part of it reminded me of kind of the Raimi movies, how they would when they would cut to something, they'd do a little bit of the panel. So that was cool. Most of the Spider-Man action looks fine. Typical kind of Spider-Man stuff. The guy doing the voice isn't too bad. He's got kind of that Peter nerdiness to him and stuff. They have Aunt May, who's basically young again, just like in the MCU and stuff, which is well, that's fine, doesn't matter. The cool thing is, and full spoilers by the way, just so if you haven't seen it, spoilers anyway. There's actually a reference to Uncle Ben in there, like they talk about him, so like it must be semi-recent. So while they're not going to go through the origin and death again, they at least there's some acknowledgement of it, which there wasn't a lot of it in the MCU. I guess there was a few brief mentions, but it feels like he's such a more of an important character than that. But whatevs, it's all good. Now obviously I've taken this with a grain of salt because it is a multiverse. There's a multiverse in the MCU now. This is obviously an Elseworld story, so some adjustments are going to happen. So it feels like it's sort of a combination of, with the comic book cuts, you have sort of the Raimi type of comic book cuts, but then you have him go work at Oscorp, so sort of have a little bit of the Amazing Spider-Man, but then he's going to that big science school, so it's sort of like the MCU. So it's almost an amalgamation of sorts, which, it's fine. My issues with it right now are not really so much like diversity is fine. It's for one, it's Elseworld, so who cares? Secondly, it's in Queens, so that's fine. I don't have a problem with Harry Osborn being black or Norman Osborn being black. That's fine. The jury's still out on the Norman Osborn performance. It's still early, so I'm not going to make a full judgment. He hasn't gone Goblin yet, so I'd like to be interested to see how he plays the Goblin and stuff when that happens. But my major issues are some of the side characters. I feel like Harry Osborn's fine. It's kind of a weird haircut he has, but other than that, with the weird top knot thing, I'm just like, that's a choice. But I don't really have a problem with it. It doesn't matter that he's black or whatever in this thing. That's whatever. Who cares? It's 2025, guys. Get with the program. Anyway, but like they also have all these random characters that have no connection to Spider-Man. We have this Nico character who's part of the Runaways, who basically in the comics maybe has had one or two interactions with Spider-Man. She's kind of playing almost the Ned Leeds best friend role. We have a love interest who's a character they just introduced in 2019, who I guess is Wave or something like that. Has had no interaction with Spider-Man, so why is she here? Is love it. We have a football player who basically has the same name as the villain Tombstone, but he's not albino or anything like that, so there's no real indication that he's going to become Tombstone. So it's love interest, like I said, is just kind of a vague. And then we have Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn, and then he goes to work at Oscorp, and there's a random Wakanda character, which is fine, whatever. And then there's Amadeus Cho, who's more connected to the Hulk, and this other random character I didn't recognize. And then we have Carla Connors, a gender-flipped, race-bent Kurt Connors. And, like I said, Elseworlds, but it just, why? What does that really do? What does that, I've never been a huge fan of, male heroes fighting female villains, because unless that female villain is, really well trained, like a Catwoman or a Talia al Ghul or something like that, or Black Canary, who's not a villain, but, could hold her own, it just feels like a man beating up a woman. It just feels kind of I don't know. I guess you could maybe do something with the Lizard, the tragedy of the story, because it's hey, this is my mentor and all that, but I don't know. It feels just like the Penguin flip and the Batman thing. Was this needed? Was anyone really asking for a female gender flipped Lizard? I don't know. It just kind of I don't care. I'll roll with it. I'll still keep giving it a chance. But I don't know. It just feels like a lot of these characters were shoved in there, as in look, we introduced, and Doctor Strange is in the first episode too. But it just feels hey, we're doing a whole bunch of shit like other cartoons have done, where we shove in a whole bunch of characters that you recognize rather than just establishing the Spider-Man characters that we already fucking know. There's no Flash Thompson, there's no Ned Leeds, there's no Robbie Robertson, there's no Gwen Stacy, there's no Liz Allen, there's no Mary Jane. It's just I'm not saying you have to do the exact same thing, because this is a different take, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. But like, if you're going to introduce, Nico is of Asian descent, which is fine. If you're going to introduce an Asian descent to be a best friend character, then why not just have Cindy Moon, Silk? That would make more fucking sense because they've actually interacted in the comics. So that's so overall it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I'm going to give it a chance. But the ending of the second episode is literally Norman Osborn seeing him getting in the Spider-Man costume. So he's already figured out that he's Spider-Man by the second episode, which is already kind of shooting your shot a little early, aren't we? I don't know. Just my personal opinion, guys, as a lifelong Spider-Man fan. It's not the worst thing I've seen by all means. I think, it's not Spider-Verse level of good, but it's, it's fine. At the basis, it's basically aimed for kids. So it's a lot of goofy action and stuff. Like I said, I think the guy doing Spider-Man is fine. Like his voice is fine. It fits the character fine. And most of the voice acting is fine. But it just, I don't know, it just feels like a random amalgamation of characters that why are they here? And are they actually going to become those characters? Or are they just here by name? It'd be something the Arrowverse would do sometimes. That's how Felicity came about, was just, she was a random character in what was it? Whatever that character's name that his cousin Robbie Amell played in The Flash. She was just a random stepmom character, and that was her name. And then she ended up becoming the love interest for some god-awful reason. But that's a whole Arrowverse thing, so whatever. But so I don't know if it's going to be are they actually going to eventually turn into their comic book counterparts? Is the guy going to actually become Tombstone? I'm interested to see, because it's early, who knows? But otherwise, it just feels like using characters to use characters when you could just establish characters we already know in the Spider-Man mythos, plenty of great, good side characters you could have. Or if you were going to do it, then maybe hint at they're going to become superheroes as opposed to just and at the same time though, if you have everyone become a superhero, then why is Spider-Man special? I nothing wrong with having things hey, there's another universe and there's other heroes out here, but you got to establish your hero first. As far as we know in this universe right now, Spider-Man is going to be the hero in the city and all that stuff. So for Queens and all that. So it's establish him first, then you can start introducing other characters and stuff like that, because it feels too much look, we got all these characters, remember that guy, remember this person, this person, this person, this one, and this person, and it's can we just focus on Spider-Man right now? The person that the show is supposed to be about. I don't know. So that's just my thoughts, guys. Overall thoughts on the first 2 episodes of it. I'm still going to keep watching it. I'm not a hater, so I just, I'm all for Spider-Man content. I look forward to the series that Nicolas Cage is going to be in as Spider-Man Noir. I think that's going to be fun. And I like the Spider-Verse movies just fine. Those are fun. But yeah, I don't know. I have no problem with gender flipping here and there if it makes sense. Right now, I feel like it's just doing it to do it, and diversity. It's kind of my problem with the initial, when they did the whole diversity in the first Spider-Man MCU movie, that was fine. But it was they'd be a random character that was Muslim, but they were just there for 2 seconds to say 1 or 2 lines. And then they had a trans character in the second one who said 1 or 2 lines. But they weren't monumental to the plot. They didn't do anything interesting. They were just kind of there to be look, we got one in here. And that's not really diversifying. That's just being look what I did. I am so with the times. It's well, that's fine to diversify, but make their characters actually interesting so that we actually want to see them more. Otherwise, they're just background characters, and then it's who cares? That's why I say, diversify all you want. That's awesome. Great. That's true to New York, but just make them part of the, story and make them interesting that we want to see more of them. And they did that for most characters, but there was just a few times I'd randomly see them in the background. It's well, they were there. Thanks for coming. There's your paycheck. All right, guys. So that's my thoughts on that for now. I'll definitely give more thoughts as the episodes go on and kind of see how it turns out. But yeah, I'm still about mixed feelings right now. I don't hate it like a lot of other people will go on YouTube and bash this show. It's really not that bad. Like I said, I watched all episodes of The Acolyte, and I didn't necessarily hate it. It wasn't great, but I didn't hate it. Like I said, I'm always willing to give things a chance. I may not always agree with everything, but those are my thoughts. So thanks for watching, guys, and keep subscribing and watching our puns of the day and other fun little videos. So extra video for you today, guys. Have a good one.